All right, hello. Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We're back tonight. We're playing more Swords of the Serpentine, closing in on the end of this arc. I don't know if it'll be tonight, but it could be, depending on decisions. But I think we maybe got like 2 sessions left in this arc. We're getting near the end. The clock is ticking. Bells are chiming. Yeah, there we go. We met a hero last time. Hero by the name Pelletier. On record, saving a life. I'm just saying. Granted, he didn't recognize who it was, despite the fact that she worked for him for like 5 years, and he gave her the wrong name. Yeah. But he still saved her life. I just want to
say he did a good thing, and we will kudo him for the good thing that he has done.
How much alcohol did he dump down her throat?
Enough so she didn't feel the burns. Okay, so you know, right? Like that's good. Oh, and he gave you guys.
It was anesthetic. Yeah. It was anesthetic.
Yeah, that's fine. And he did that stuff to help the family. Honestly, really, he's the glue that keeps the main wall of the family together. Let's just be honest.
Absolutely. Good thing it's a matriarchy, because otherwise we'd be all hail Pelletier.
No, thank you very much. I'm much more humble than that. I would take such leadership. I prefer to lead by example from the shadows.
That's the only reason he's still here, because I just enjoy doing that voice, and
it's lovely.
I'm constantly pushing my make-believe glasses up my nose. So good. Oh goodness. Okay. Are we ready to go? I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah. All right. Last time around, last session, you all reunited in that wine cellar. You eventually headed off to Pelletier's study, as you had some signs pointing you there from when you were in the chapel. Chauncey, you had asked your dear friend Randy to protect your wife, who had been eaten by a snake, and then you, because of your wonderful, ridiculous luck, managed to save her from being digested. So you all decided to head over to Pelletier's study. When you got there, you found that it was ransacked. Chauncey, because you had spent time with Pelletier, you noticed that his liquor cabinet was a little bit out of place, not in the place where it's supposed to be, kind of askance. Arkadiy, taking a lead from that, listened and heard some voices coming through the wall. And then there was a little mechanism, and there was a hidden panel. And suddenly inside, you found Pelletier. You found a very injured Etta, who has become a friend and like assistant to Solavita over the years, and a hidden stash of Pelletier's alcohol that it's just for himself, just really rare vintages that he just couldn't bear to sell. And then apparently, as you talked to him, you learned that after everyone left him in the portrait room, he came here to continue his studies because he has been looking loosely into this succession ritual. But that research was interrupted because Etta, near dying, came into the study. And so he hid the 2 of them in his special chamber. And then Althavira showed up, and she was like destroying research and such. And apparently the idea being that, well, you all would know this by now, that she seems to be possessed by Castellar Mainwallen, a very strong, powerful, and deadly sorcerer who caused some trouble in the past, hundreds of years ago. You all knew that he was roaming free in your undervaults 10 years ago, but didn't do anything. So these things happen. When I say you all, I do mean the people who could do something about it. So, Vincent, Solavita is basically what I'm talking about. The rest of them are totally fine. So anyhow,
I couldn't see him.
So at some point, I'm doing it slightly out of order, but Arkadiy, you had a vision that involved Althavira actually talking to Castellar, and you were learning about like the idea being if they destroyed the succession ritual practice, then Fortuna would have to come to heel, but have to vote for her because she couldn't fulfill the ritual. And so that seems to be what they were attempting to do. So then you all also had a talk with Pelletier about the potential for the public learning about what has befallen here. And he apparently had a solution that he was considering, which was a certain kind of mind wash tonic that you could give to guests to make them forget everything that happened. He had the ingredients. Unfortunately, the specific recipe was destroyed, but Solavita, being a leechcraft, an alchemical study of her own right, she was able to piece some of that together. And you now have a potential tool you could use. You don't have to, but you could deploy at some point if you're worried about what happens when all of these people who have witnessed some really awful things get out back into the public of everything. Other things. One of the things that you noticed in the study was that one of the wall panels now was a door. And when you went inside, you found this ancient scriptorium. And when you started to explore, Vincent, you used your spirit sight. You saw that there was a pit filled with ghostly writers and illuminators. And Arkadiy, you also noticed, had a curse kind of writhing through him as well. You also noticed a pedestal and a tome on the opposite side of the scriptorium that was emitting some kind of magical or curse-like aura. Chauncey, you went down to the writing pit, and you noticed that the ghosts were working on some kind of illuminated manuscript that was like rewriting the origin of Eversink, elevating Borda, denigrating Denari. And when you attempted to interfere, the ghosts grew very angry and started to attack. One of them possessed Pelletier, who tackled Fortuna. Others started to possess some of the grotesques, these statues of like these horrific looking creatures that were scattered about. And they started kind of flying around as well. Arkadiy at one point theorized that the ghosts might be tethered to these bronze lamps on the writing desks. And when he started to destroy them, it did seem that it actually had an effect. As you started to see the ghosts kind of woof out into existence, you saw some of the statues kind of break as well. You're pretty sure, though, at the end, you saw like the stone beginning to restitch itself. You saw some of the material that the ghosts were sort of obliterated into beginning to regrow. So you know that you don't have like all of the time in the world, as you're pretty sure like this is still going to eventually reset. But there are some scrolls. There's a vault in here. There's a magical tome. And then you also have Edda that I know that you all wanted to talk to as well. So let's go ahead and let's pick up in the aftermath. You all have time, and everything I've just described is still here. You have access to both of these rooms. Consider it one big scene. These two rooms are connected by a very short hall, so you can move between them. Who has something that they would like to check out?
Immediately the tome on the pedestal.
Okay. All right. Vincent, you head over to the tome, and because you had your spirit sight running, you were able to notice that there was some kind of weaving sorcery coming through here, and it was corrupted magic. And that would lead you to believe that there's something about this pedestal or about the tome that you see on top of it that might be trapped with some kind of sorcerous magic. When you get over there and you stay at a safe distance, the pedestal looks like it's carved from bone, like as thick as a tree trunk. It doesn't look like there's any seams to suggest it's a composite. It's just one giant thick bone. And you can see atop the pedestal, there's two items. There's this red-bound ledger, pretty simple looking ledger. And then you see what almost looks like this engraved block of stone and iron, almost like a keystone of an arch. But then you see these like metal rings that suggest it's like a spiral-bound tome of some kind. With an exterior made of stone and metal. What would you like to try to do here, Vincent?
If it's corrupted or sealed in some way that's preventing me from getting to it, like to either cleanse it or break it down to get to it.
Okay, this can be a sorcery test. Because your spirit sight is up and you have access to it, that's actually going to lower the difficulty too. Otherwise, this would have been... I think you're probably the perfect person to do this with your combination of abilities. But yeah, go ahead and give me a sorcery test.
I'll do 1 point spend on it.
Okay.
For a total of 4.
Okay. That is good. What does it look like as you try to like unravel? What you can tell is like there's like this, it almost looks like there's this red aura weaving through some of the bone pedestal, and then almost like it's strapping down the ledger and this tome. And as you approach, you can see it beginning to reach out like these tendrils, like know you're nearby. So what do you think it looks like when Vincent keeps these things at bay, essentially deactivating this trap?
I'll reach my hands around it. It might even entangle my fingers a bit while the sorcery inside me fights against its sorcery until it dissipates.
Okay. And so maybe Solavita catches sight of this, but I think the rest of you might not be able to see even half of what's going on. But at a couple times that everyone's really close, you start to see like blood beginning to well up in like the small tear ducts of Vincent's eyes. You see a little bit trickle down his ear and down his nose a bit. It doesn't gush, but you just see like a little droplet come. And then finally, Vincent, all of that red unravels. And you think that you can freely access these two things on top of the pedestal. One of them, again, is a ledger. And one of them is like this heavy block, like this big, heavy tome.
Could someone give me a hand?
Certainly. But I don't know that I'm much stronger than you. Let's give it a go together.
Okay. One of you could pick it up. Like, it's not the type of thing that you wouldn't be able to carry. It's maybe the size of it's like a size of almost like a giant atlas, but with like a thin bit of like metal on the outside and like little engravings of stone. And then there's like rings that are binding. It looks like it's a spiral bound notebook. It's quite heavy as you lift it up. But it is the type of thing that you could carry it if you wanted. So if you're looking at that first, one of the things you notice immediately is on the cover is a familiar sigil a stamp that you've seen multiple times now. You've seen it on some blueprints inside of the workshop that you had discovered. You saw it in some of the papers that you had discovered inside of that workshop as well, where there's that hidden vault. And you would probably begin to conclude that this is the sigil or the stamp, like an engineer's stamp almost, Solavita, of Orsyth Mainwallen. And you started to suspect that he is the architect of this entire estate, and the thing that has whatever's causing this constant shifting, that sacral void that you've read, this seems to have his stamp on it. Which one of you starts flipping through it?
If it's got Orsyth's sort of stamp on it, and I know this information, then I probably would immediately kind of just like start to creak it open a little bit.
Okay. As you start to open it up, you notice that it almost looks in some ways like the front cover is like a keystone for an arch. You know it's not. It's just designed that way. And as you flip it over, you realize the pages, so to speak, they're not paper. It's actually more like these thin metal plates, these little insets, and each of them has like a stamp. And as you start reading through them, and Vincent, if you're there as well, both of you can tell that this isn't a book of engineering or architecture so much as it reads more like a sorcerer's grimoire. And the two of you begin to see like his experimentation, his research into a few different spheres, a couple of spheres of magic, one of them being stone and one of them being metal. And effectively this is a grimoire by mechanical nature of the game. Now, do either of you have vigilance?
Aaron is the
That's
only
Arkadiy
one with vigilance.
I would take what's it called? For Forgotten Lore, if either of you have. You don't have to make a spend. It's just a question of do you have it?
I do have it.
Okay. One of the things you notice, Solavita, as you're flipping through it, some of the markings on here, as you read through in the margins, like these little, they almost look decorative at first. And then at a certain point, you realize like they look familiar. And you know, it takes you a little while, but eventually you realize where you've seen them before. And you remember them being etched into the staff of Alexander Dumas, the Mad Hermit. And all of you have seen him with this big walking stick, and you see he's got these etchings and this big, no one really knows exactly what it is. But that same sort of geometric imagery is what you're seeing kind of in these like decorative flourishes on these panels. Vincent.
Okay.
Let me give you one more piece of information. So this is going to go to Vincent. Vincent, you have joined the last college. You have been a member of the Sorcerer's Cabal for a few years after leaving. What was it? The Hexy Beasts? What were they called again?
The Hexy Boys.
The Hexy Boys. Okay. I think Hexy Beast, that's a good movie, by the way, Sexy Beast. Okay. You can see that the rings, the spiral bound rings, they have engravings wrapping around them that you think are, and you might have seen this before. You think they're true names. Like they're true names of someone. as you flip through it, and as you talked about the history of Orsa, all of his stuff has to do with like imprisonment. Like this was his thing. He was an architect. He imprisoned things. He was good at finding ways to use stone, metal, and sorcery to entrap magical beings of some kind. And it might occur to you, Vincent, that some of these could have been those that he had imprisoned in the past, long ago. So, which one of you is taking this?
Vincent, you see these markings here? It's definitely Orsith's sort of grimoire. I think probably you're getting more practice than me at this time.
There's something here. There's names on the spiral.
Oh,
I'll study it.
Okay, yes, definitely. If you need my eye, because he was an architect, I can help decipher things as needed.
Perfect. And I'll carry it.
Okay, Vincent, if you're taking it, I need you to make a morale test. As you bring it into your, and you start flipping through, you start reading about these different rituals, rites, this magic. You start to hear voices whispering out to you. These wails, they're very familiar to you, Vincent, actually, because they sound like the wails that you heard when you were in the old Summer Palace, in those underlevels where they had imprisoned sorcerers. And so you start to hear them over and over again. You start to get visions as you blink away blood that begins to appear in the corners of your eyes of people getting put into like various torture devices and things like that as well. And all of this begins to assail you.
Rolled a 2 on the morale.
Okay. You're going to take 4 points of morale damage in doing so. And you have the voices in your head now of several imprisoned sorcerers, effectively. So usually when you take, usually there's like a possession component to grimoires. Yours isn't full possession, but you have this semi-permanent sounds of voices wailing in your ears.
You said it was 4 again?
It was 4.
Are you at -1?
No, it got me to 0.
Okay.
0, you're fine. 0, you're okay. I'm going to go ahead and drop the item on your character sheet so you can read it, because it does actually have some mechanical benefits to it. And while you're doing that, okay, so check your equipment tab. It says Orsigh's Grimoire, and you can kind of go through it. It gives you like a separate pool that you can do, and it gives you some bonuses. So read all the way to the bottom. Okay, Fortuna, Chauncey, Arkadiy. As the 2 sorcerers are dealing with that, what are the 3 of you doing?
Fortuna wants to look at these shelves of scrolls. So I'm thinking probably a Forgotten Lore kind of a thing here to look at all of these, see what's what.
Okay. Remember too that there was you had discovered, because you got knocked into the shelves and everything kind of fell. And remember that you also discovered a sealed cabinet that had your family motto in crest on it as well. But as you go through the scrolls, you can see as you start unfurling them, reading through them, some of them are vellum, some of them are hide, cloth, like there are all sorts of different things here and there. You think some of them are stitched together with thread, sometimes hair. The actual composition of them is like there are a few times like maybe you gag a little bit as you start to unfurl and realize exactly what it is you're reading.
Tips of fingers as she's grabbing things and turning pages.
Some of these pages show diagrams of the estate, plans for expansions, and you can tell that it's incomplete, as if like there are pages missing from some of this. And you also find what looks like notes someone has written of a prior matriarchal succession. Not Eliana, but like years ago. You see a couple different phrases pop up. Feast must be final. There's something about access via the Hall of Thirst after a unanimous vote. And then it says only offerings open the hall. And then it references, and it's a handwriting that's not familiar to you. It's not Pelletier's. You can tell these are much older and damaged and incomplete. But when it talks about offerings, there's like a circle, and then like there's like spokes coming from it. And it references 3 places: Chapel, Tholos, and Hanging Gardens.
What was the access to the Hall of Thirst after the vote? And then there was something after that.
Only offerings open the hall.
Only offerings open the hall. It was really important, and then it escaped my mind. Offerings. So with the very interesting. And so she's doing the thing with the building plans, where she's sort of like holding them and spinning them and orienting herself in the room to try to like get a sense of like, does this help us figure out this version of the estate that we seem to be currently
it seems
in?
incomplete. It seems incomplete, but what you do see is a very clear path that you think probably Althavira has been taking, which is like she is trying to access this hall by doing these offerings, and then in doing so, she's going to these other places. And you remember when you went to the chapel, there was a dead person hanging over top of this altar, right? And so I believe Arkadiy heard Tholos as well in the vision, the prophecy vision as he had last time as well. So you've heard that twice. You've heard the chapel and the hanging gardens. And those seem to be like offering sites. So that's you're getting a clearer picture now of what you think Althavir is probably doing.
This is most unpleasant. There's offerings. I do not want to engage in that kind of offering here. Goodness. Okay, and so she's sort of muttering to herself as she's kind of trying to take in all this information and overlay it on the last few hours.
Okay. While you're doing that, Chauncey, Arkadiy, anything you guys are interested in looking at? I can go through what's left if you want to as well, if you want me to talk about what's still available.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so there is there's the sealed cabinet that has the crest and your family motto over top of it. That's still in the scriptorium. There's that red-bound ledger that Vincent and Solavitra, and I'm presuming they'll get to it. Those are the two. Yeah, those are really the two things left in here. Back in Pelletier's study, it was really just talking with Etta is probably all that's left.
So is the vault that locked cabinet?
Yeah, you've seen stuff like this here and there throughout. It looks very similar to what you saw inside of Orsight's workshop.
So I guess Arkadiy would probably go over to the locked cabinet because he's got no skill with trying to talk Etta down, so he doesn't even consider that as an option.
Yeah. What do you think Arkadiy would be doing to try to open this up?
So I've got no burglary at all.
As a Thieves Guild leader. That's interesting.
I know.
Not a burglar.
Do as I say, not as I do.
But I think maybe how about a Thieves Guild or skullduggery spend to recall some of the conversations and training I've had with the thieves to bypass the lock.
I think that makes perfect sense. Yes, I'll absolutely accept that. Okay, so you're able to, Helena maybe comes to mind. We see a little flashback of her giving you a training session on how to like get through a vault. And inside, you find what looks like a hand-inked map. It's like rolled up, and as you unfurl it, there's multiple tiers to it. And as you start flipping through it, Arkadiy, you realize that it very much looks like an exploded engineer diagram of the entire estate. And you can see that there are all sorts of different room labels. So some of them are labeled inconsistently, some are scratched out, others are rewritten. There's things like you recognize some, others you haven't heard of before in your life. Conservatory, chapel, scriptorium, wine cellar, something called a wandering chamber. And there's all these arrows and spirals that as if it looks like somebody has been trying as best they can to recreate the machinations of this place and how it kind of moves about in all its kind of incongruous glory. You can see that there are volumes of this, and the locations, the sheer number of locations far exceed the physical space that your small little corner of Gelio Hill could possibly encompass. what this is a magical item. This provides a 2-point pool of city secrets that's spendable only to navigate to a specific room noted on the map. So it'll let you go to a place on the map by spending a point from that pool. I'll drop that on your character sheet.
Well, actually, Arkadiy will give that to Fortuna because he feels that as the future matriarch, this is something she should own.
Mm-hmm.
Dear
That makes sense.
Fortuna, I have found complete map of our entire home, our estate. Here, see how it blows up and it points to different rooms. I believe it's magical. Perhaps Solovita can confirm, but I believe this is something that you, as our matriarch-to-be, should have in her possession.
And Fortuna's been looking at these incomplete plans and turning herself and spinning them around, and then she just sort of like tips it down and kind of looks at what you're offering. Oh, I see. And so she kind of folds up this other thing that I've been wasting time on this incomplete version over here. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated.
I
recognize that the pages that you have actually fit into what he has taken out. He seems to have the whole thing, and your pages were just a small portion of it.
I was looking at a draft or something, but this is would be quite handy. Thank you, cousin.
It is my pleasure. I think with map, perhaps we can find a way to maybe get ahead of Altavira, or at least get to her next location for her offering, perhaps.
We are learning much as we go. I definitely want to make sure that we don't overlook any clues. I feel having having Castlear inside her, they have a bit of a advantage over us. So anything that we can do to look in all of the nooks and crannies as we go will hopefully give us a crash course, as they call it, and everything that we need to know.
As long as we do not go so slow that they succeed while we dawdle.
I think there has to be a vote, so I think our presence is likely required to be there for this to occur. But yes, moderation.
Indeed.
Okay. Chauncey, throughout all this, what have you been up to?
I would like to go back to the slightly more normal study area because this area is terrible and haunted, and I hate every bit of it. And also because I care about Etta. So yeah, I'll go check on her. Like, I think she did get treated, right?
She did. Yeah.
Yeah, I did 2 or 3 points of bind wounds on her and stabilized her.
You know, I'm glad that in his own roundabout way, Pelletier could do a solid turn, even if it was by accident. Is Pelletier right here next to her, or
if he was? No, he got knocked out because he was possessed, tackled Fortuna, and is essentially unconscious at this point. Which I know is how Solo Vita prefers him. So
Chauncey wouldn't like say if Pelletier was like there actively listening, he wouldn't say that. But because he's not, he'll try to interject a little bit of humor, raise that his spirit a little bit. Yeah, even a broken clock is right twice a day.
Yes.
I'm glad you're okay.
What? Oh, yes.
And you can realize, like, as you look at her lips are very blue. She's got tons of burns that have been treated, but you can tell she's still in pain. And you can also tell that she's very, very drunk right now as you speak with her.
Are we safe yet?
Oh. Well, we're working on that. What do you remember anything in particular?
Okay. She will occasionally drift off, but you kind of like snap her a little, like just snap a little bit in front of her face, and she'll come back, and she will she'll give you a tale. She'll tell you a little story about what happened to her, but it'll be interspersed with hiccups, moments where it looks like she's going to vomit, pain as well, and all of this probably takes a little bit longer than my summary of it. But
it's okay. I ran a bar. I know what this is like.
She basically says that after she and Solovita arrived, she and Solovita have been working on like the tower, like repairing the tower and a few other things here and there. She went out back to circumvent some of the people who were here because she didn't want anyone to see her. And then the earth kind of started to rumble, like the earth quaked in some ways. She thought something was collapsing, something was falling, but she saw around her, like in seams in the earth, like fissures opened up, and she literally watched as buildings began to rise from below. She even at one point saw the eastern wall of the tower just fall, and then from it, kind of the entire tower expanded even further. And it sounds like the ravings of a drunken lunatic, of course, but you all would know something different. She mentions that she got lost outside as she tried to make it back to the manor, away from the annex, and she was trying to get back to the manor, but she got lost because nothing made sense. The hedge maze was bigger and more circuitous than she remembered. She kept running and she was panicking. She heard the sound, like she swore at one point she saw a statue like chasing after her. And then eventually she saw Althavira a couple times as well. And apparently Althavira, she saw visiting various statues. She mentions like the gardens, but you can tell that she's not the maze garden, right? And then she describes this, she describes a place that's like surrounded by broken columns and almost had like a colorful dome over top of it. And there was like a statue in it. And that's where she saw Althavira kind of like a snake came over her shoulder and breathed fire at her. Again, she sounds like a drunk. And then that's when she started running.
And, I think that was a very smart choice on your part. Say, Etta, is there like a particular childhood song that's a favorite of yours, something that you absolutely couldn't forget? If somebody just like were to maybe do a quick little like the equivalent of like shaving a haircut or some little thing that you remember if somebody did it as a signal.
I always liked Cane Town Bridge is falling down.
Wonderful. I'm going to remember that. Now, I'm absolute rubbish with this thing, and I think you are in no condition to come with us, so he's going to take his sword. If somebody comes into this hiding place and they don't do that song, just have it pointed in this direction and just lunge if somebody comes through there without doing that song. Because you've been through too much, we need to keep you alive, and I'm shit with this anyways.
She's got like bandages on her face, and she's just nodding. Yes. And then she like demonstrates for you like the rhythm as best she can. But yeah, she'll agree to that for sure.
I really hope we all make it out of this, and it's good to see you. I wish it were better circumstances. I'm going to go try very hard to help people smarter than me take care of this.
Okay. And you could tell like she's appreciative, but she's very much out of it between everything that's befallen her. But you could tell she gives you like a little smile that only comes up onto one side of her face, but she smiles nonetheless. All right. Back in the scriptorium, by the pedestal, did Solavita or Vincent take a look at that ledger? That was the other thing over here.
Yeah, after I get the voices in my head to quiet down.
Okay.
Trying to focus. Hush.
They never will again.
Yeah. It is a permanent thing now. Well, technically not permanent. Like you could potentially rid them off, but you have to get rid of the Grimoire and everything. Okay, so you would be able to notice there's a list of Mainwallen family members, names, and you could tell this is tracking. Like you can see this is a record, a ledger of past succession rights. So the different generations. You can see most recently Eliana, the fourth, but you can see prior to that as well. You can see names that are listed, and there are some of them are crossed out. You can see, and they're marked with a kind of an odd phrase. It just says "Hall consumed for discordance," and these are like some of the older ones. More recently, this current rite, you can see the names, two names crossed out. You can see Bellamira and Cosimo, which are the names of two people that you all have found dead at this point.
Fortuna, there's a huge list of succession rights here.
Yes, I had a scroll that had notes of previous successions as well. And Fortuna would kind of bring the scrolls over and then kind of compare with Vincent sort of what she saw in her scroll and what he's got listed in the ledger.
What are you looking for exactly? I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Sorry, one of the scrolls, I believe, had notes of previous...
Oh, sure. No, the writing here seems very, like, going back the entirety, all the way back to the beginning. The handwriting looks identical.
Oh.
As you come over and you look over his shoulder and you flip back, you notice something from the previous, from Eliana the Fourth's succession.
Okay.
You notice the name. You notice a name like listed. How old? And remind me again. Like you're in your 60s. Is that right?
I am now, because 10 years have passed since the beginning. So I was mid 50s when we started, and I'm now mid 60s.
Okay. Your mother's name is listed on here, and it's listed as failed challenge. What
nonsense is this? I knew of no such thing. Vincent, I know my eyes are, but that is, am I reading that correctly? Yes?
She failed to ascend. She was maybe next in line, failed something.
Oh dear. Wonder if that explains some family dynamics over the years. Wonder who's taking all of these notes for the last hundreds and hundreds of years in the same pen.
Well, I imagine it's magical of some kind, but I'm more curious, other than Grandma, who apparently failed, what does it say about us, or even maybe my mother? What does it say in the more present time?
Vincent, your eyes are better than mine.
Just the more recent. 2 members we found dead.
No failed test or anything yet?
Not that I know of.
So if you're looking at the current generation and you're looking yourselves, you're all here. Like you can see every living main Wallen is currently listed, including the very recent recruits that Fortuna has brought into the fold over the past 5 years. Solavita, you do see your mother's name with a line crossed through it. And you can see, like, in parentheses, it just, or like right next to it, there's a note that just says likely dissident.
Well, interesting.
And so, like, all of the main Wallens who have died in this generation since Eliana has taken over, all their names are listed. Anyone who has passed, their line is through it. Some of them have notes, some of them don't. Some of them died of natural causes, some of them died for different reasons. But you can see some of them died for, it looks to be related to this succession ritual.
What an interesting find. Dissident. What? Besmirch your mother's name.
Yes, I wonder. Fortuna, do you remember why she got married out of the family? I never knew. No one ever told me.
I don't believe that she was anything more than impetuous and a bit she was just sick of the family things and thought that this was the way to a different version of life, and was not open to thoughts to the contrary.
Yeah, well, it runs in the family a little bit.
You certainly don't share any of her stubborn traits. That is most certain.
Well, no, I share yours instead. Do we have a randy pot near the bottom of this as well? I'm just curious.
Chauncey, how many ridiculous luck spends you got left?
Got one left.
Would you like to spend it to ensure? I'm going to roll a die one or the other, but I'll give you an opportunity if you wanted to spend a point to ensure it and not leave it up to a die roll.
And this ensures what for Randy exactly?
That he's part of your family? Whatever you want. If you make the spend, you can dictate what the story will be. Whatever you would prefer.
I'll leave it random because I think it would be funny. I think Chauncey, we joked earlier, Chauncey did have access to the records. He may have cooked the books. I'll leave it to a dice roll.
Okay.
It would be funny if it turns out to be true despite Chauncey just...
Straight up 50-50, 1 to 3. He is part of the family. 4 to 6, he is free from this bullshit. It was a 1, so he is part of the family.
Oh.
I love that my lie was true.
So
Chauncey,
Levita, you
hear...
see Randolio. It's there.
Oh my god!
we both got sent to the same orphanage at the same time, basically. It's just the dumping grounds for the main Wallen bastards, basically, I guess.
Chauncey, you hear Solavita from another room. Chauncey! I found the Pisspot is in the ledger. He's got the dumbest name out of all of us.
Wait, you mean this? I just fucking made that up. Are you kidding me?
No, it's right here. Check it out.
I worked so hard on those forgeries,
You
and I
didn't even need to.
That's amazing.
Your heart was in the right place, cousin.
Yes, of course, always.
Also, look at his name. Did you know it was this?
I mean, I've called him that in jest, but...
It's legitimately his name.
Or Randolio. Curse this part of this family.
No, poor Randolio. We knew him well.
All right. So at this point, you guys have you guys have exhausted essentially your search of both the scriptorium and the study. You've talked with Etta. You're fairly confident there's really nothing else of substance that you would find. Obviously, there's scrolls. Like if time was allowed, like there's probably some interesting things you can find. But in terms of essential clues and information, you're pretty sure you've come to the conclusion that you've exhausted this place. So, question is what would you guys like to do with this information?
Before we go anywhere else, Solavita will finish making the potion because she got interrupted halfway through, and I do want to make sure.
Fair
I do
enough.
have that. And then she'll go into the alcohol closet without singing the song.
Mm-hmm. She stabs you.
And yeah, I take 10 damage. I'm dead. And she'll go, hey, Etta, you're going to stay in here. I will come and find you when this is over, and I will make sure to take you home away from this place. For now, take a little sip of this, dream dreamless sleeps, and forget everything.
She takes a little sip, and she leans down. There's maybe you find some kind of cushion, like maybe from a chair or something like that, or folded up like tapestry or something. Mm-hmm. She puts her head down and she begins to kind of fall asleep.
And Solavita will whisper, "You had a terrible accident. We will help you." As kind of try to seed that.
Okay. You just whisper that into her ear a couple times. What do you guys do with Pelletier?
That one is not my responsibility.
Well, I hide him with Etta.
Okay. All right.
That's
Arkadiy.
a wise choice.
Arkadiy seriously considers putting Dagger in Pelletier's ear, but instead carries him in to lay him down next to Etta.
Okay. All right. So the two of them are in there.
She was talking on about there's some spot with columns and a very colorful dome and like a statue, and that's where Altavia was going.
Oh, keep describing that, Chauncey, and Fortuna kind of she had just figured out how to get the map folded because it's always such a pain in the ass to fold maps back
Well,
up.
I did like to wait until you were all done so they could make you redo it.
Exactly. And then, okay, describe that again. Let me get this out. Over this way. Okay, can you describe that again? And let me see if I can
coming from
find
this
it.
angle. She said like there's like this semicircle of these columns. There's this multicolored dome. She mentioned this color and that, and then a statue of some sort. Here's a couple of details she mentioned of it.
Does this description correspond with third offering location? Since we've found 2 bodies, is this third location for offering?
This is what I was wondering. We've heard of Thalos, I believe, and this was my thought. Chauncey, get over here. Eyes are better than mine. I think it might be there, but does that say anything? My eyes, and she sort of puts the map.
Based upon the description, based upon the name, you do see Tholos, Tholos. And it's a rounded building. It's usually got a circular wall. There's usually columns, and then there's often a ceiling or a dome of some kind that comes over top of it. You've heard this as well, Arkadiy. So yeah, you do see that.
So with map, can you guide us to location? It seemed to be purpose of it.
So Fortuna, so based on having this map, I would be able to. Sorry, let me open the equipment. I have the map of Mainwall and Manor.
The map has a dedicated 2-point city secrets pool that can only be used to, when you spend one, to go to one of the locations on this map. So regardless of whether you've ever heard of it, obviously it's a very nebulous place right now, you can use the map to essentially beeline there without having to worry about running into things, getting lucky, searching around. Like, you know how to get there.
I would like to so I may be able to use this once or twice. So I'm debating between spending both of the points or one of the points.
Oh no, it's just 1 point. 1 point to go to a location. That's it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Yay! Then I'll spend 1 point.
Okay. All right. So you all leave. You maybe close the door. Make sure the liquor cabinet is probably back in where it's supposed to be. You listen in briefly, you just hear snoring as the 2 of them are out in different ways. And you begin navigating the very circuitous halls. And it's a good thing you have this map, Fortuna, because over the night, it's just become more and more difficult to find your way around. You're seeing 4-way intersections down halls that you don't recall there ever even being like any intersection at all. You push a door open thinking you're going to be outside, and you find yourself in a ballroom of some kind that you don't even remember having. You push out of that like this ornate set of double doors with this beautiful like fresco embedded upon it, and you find yourself in some kind of bedroom that doesn't even look to align with where these should be on the second floor. And then finally, you find yourself pushing outside. And when you push outside, remember that the sky isn't really visible. You don't see like stars. You don't see a moon. You don't see anything of those, of those types. It's just this kind of dull, kind of gray blue pattern in all directions when you look up and you look out. You can see off to the side in the distance, you can see the steeple and the bell tower of the chapel. And there's all manner of vegetation that you're weaving your way through. But every now and then, like, you find like a little path that you look down at your map and you see one of those like circuitous lines that's drawing one arrow from one location to the next. And like, it just so happens to be a path that you find. And sometimes the path you walk makes utterly no sense whatsoever. You find yourself almost doing a complete 180, going back the way you came, only to arrive somewhere different. Elevation changes as well. You find a doorway just standing freely in the yard that doesn't even have a building attached to it. You open it up, and as you step through, you find yourself on the opposite side of the entire estate. But eventually, you see light. And Arkadiy, you actually caught a glimpse of this at one point. Anybody else who was up in the bell tower and actually took a chance to look, you remember seeing in the distance there was like a domed or illuminated light in some way. And you find yourselves at this spot. You're standing and you're looking, and you see this kind of gray gold light that seems to be emitting from a cracked dome. It certainly doesn't look like it's intact anymore. You weave your way through a couple of these broken concrete pillars that are on the perimeter. And you can see that those are etched with all sorts of symbols. You can see there's scattered shards of glass, you think, on the floor as you hear your feet crunch. But when you go to look down, you can see that there's this, again, like this gray gold fog that just kind of pools. There's no wind, but you see it roiling and moving in some ways. There are, as you look into the center, as you have entered basically at an elevated position where these concrete pillars are, and you look down slightly, you can see that there are these gnarled trees coming up out of stone. The limbs are kind of warped. They look like claws. One of them, you can see there is a statue of a squatting woman. Her arm is reached out and away from the tree as if she is trying to beckon something towards her. It looks very familiar, and many of you begin to get the feeling that you've been here before, but it looks different. You also notice that inspecting that statue right now is Father Mikali, who is a priest of Denari, who is flanked on either side by 2 inquisitors of Denari, both of whom, like all 3 of whom, they have a lantern out, they're looking and they're animated and they're talking. You're at a distance right now where they're not going to necessarily notice you unless you make yourselves known. You don't see any signs of Althavira, but you do see an offering. You see like this hand coming out like it's an offering of a statue. What would you all like to do?
Oh, Vincent, you should definitely hide.
Authority of Denari. What are they doing in our home?
We invited them.
Oh.
Maybe Arkadiy will try to stealth up close enough so he can overhear their conversation.
I like it. Give me a stealth test. Let me double check their. I think they have one of them has an alertness. So give me a stealth check. You won't know the difficulty of it. Just do what you think you need to do.
Okay, I will spend 4 stealth because I want this to go well, and I will get a 10.
Okay.
In total.
You slip down. You hide in some of the roiling fog, which only really kind of comes up maybe to your thighs. But if you crouch down and you kind of move in in sort of a very slow pattern, and then you use the shadows that are cast by some of these gnarled trees from the light that doesn't even really make sense. You get close enough where you can hear them talking, and they don't seem to have noticed you. They seem to be in a state of shock and disgust. And you certainly hear them talking about things like demon worship, blasphemy. You hear Macaulay specifically say something along the lines of, "I never wanted to believe the rumors about the main villains. I always thought that it was just the Bonaventures trying to cast aspersions. But this is something so terrible. We must cleanse this place. We must notify the church that walking amongst the nobles themselves, this family, they have been perpetuating an evil here. Blasphemy. They have been. What have they been? Horrific. And as you notice, and because you have vigilance, he steps away, and you can tell he's like dabbing his forehead with some kind of cloth, and it gives you view of the arm, and you can see the arm, the outstretched arm of the statue. There is something in the hand. It is bloody and it is fleshy. You can't tell exactly what it is, but you can tell it's bloody and fleshy. It's a body part of some kind. You're not sure. Human, animal, unclear. And the Inquisitors are like, Father Mikhaili, do we have your approval? If we see any of them, we are going to take them into custody. Yes, we can enlist the Carnuccios. They are an ally, of course, and even the Bonaventures themselves, perhaps they might have ulterior motives, of course. But when they see this, they would absolutely know this family is rooted in evil, Father. And Macaulay's like, yes, you are right. You are right. Yes, we must make haste. We must make allies. We must ensure that the Maid Wallens cannot perpetuate whatever horrific ritual they seem to be performing here this eve. That is what you hear.
So we all know that Arkadiy's all about protecting the family. His drives are any action that protects the family's interest is an honorable action, and be kind when possible and ruthless when required. So he, from his stealthy position, is going to try to stab one of these Inquisitors through the ear and hope that everybody else gets the picture and joins in on the fight.
Okay. Fantastic.
Arkadiy's the only one that knows this information, so we're all just kind of hanging out like,
he's hoping unless you hear it.
We do know that his Borda is the father of the Nari.
Yeah, to a degree, I think you guys could put two and two together. Like this is really bad, no doubt. All right, let me just. All right,
as we're having a Twitch chat about, we're gonna knock him on the head and give him the potion, right? We're gonna feed him the potion and not murder them, right?
I mean,
I don't think
mine this way either.
Maybe try to knock out. You got to take the Inquisitors out because they're badasses. But
they are.
Might be able to knock out the priest and feed him the potion. But
he just the devil was just giving him some nightmares of motivation for future cleansings. That was all.
Okay. You are going to go up. And you're going to make an attack. Your stealth was phenomenal. They have no way. They cannot see you coming. Plus, they are very disturbed. There's the swirling fog as well that you can use to help kind of get your escape. You see these little glinting pieces of glass, which you know that if you stepped on one of them would probably give away your position, but you very carefully kind of step through them, pull out the one blade that you have, because you gave the other one to Randy to protect Valentina. Go ahead and make your attack.
I just want to make sure that there's nothing super special. Okay. I will spend 4 warfare.
All right.
To get a 6.
Okay. 6 will hit. So they're going to, because they're surprised, I'm going to say 2 things are going to happen to them. Obviously, they're general for this round only. For the first round, any general ability attacks or any general ability rolls they make have a +2 difficulty. But I'm also going to say that they're exposed. So his hit threshold is going to be -1. So a 6. Okay. 6 versus them is going to put it down. That's a hit, and it is 3 over because they're exposed. So you have the potential to target one other with this attack if you want.
Absolutely. I'm going to do that for sure. So I'm going to try to hit both Inquisitors.
Okay.
Now, both Inquisitors, since I have spot frailty 2, their armor is reduced by 2.
Okay.
And because I'm attacking from stealth and I have skullduggery 2, they each take an additional 2 points of damage on top of whatever I roll.
Okay. Excellent. Give me the grand total.
Okay, the grand total will be 12.
Oh, goodness. Okay. All right. So you essentially cripple them right off the bat, but you don't necessarily kill them. Like you slice a tendon here. One of them, like their knee buckles. Another one you see like quickly goes for their the flail they have hanging from their belt, but you stab them right in the arm as they reach for it and they can't grab it. Macaulay rears back and screams in horror and in shock. But you can also tell as you sink your blade into them, you feel the blade just get repulsed, and you see this bright yellowish light, this almost white, just almost throw you back as if they have the protection of the goddess somehow helping them stay alive. But they are both on the ground, hobbled at this point. But they are still barely standing. Okay.
So I will then like to spend 1 point of Tactics of Death to get a second attack.
Go right ahead. Absolutely.
Ooh.
Guess might not have to do anything.
Arkadiy's going for blood.
We're just hanging out over here. Wonder what he's doing.
I'll go ahead and spend 4
okay.
points of warfare on this again to try to.
Gotcha.
And got a 7.
All right. The same thing happens in terms of your attack. It's 3 over. You can attack them both. And I'll tell you what, just describe how you kill them, because this is going to kill them. You nearly killed them in one shot. So go ahead and describe it.
So you see him go in and he slices both of them. And then he kind of folds back into the shadows, comes around behind each one of them. And you just see him give the strike up into the cervical spine of one and then a throat strike to the other and drop them both.
And they're blood splurting out, and they're falling to the ground. Macaulay is like, Arkadiy, you devil!
Move,
and he starts,
move and die, priest.
And he reaches for a weapon, but you could tell he's a priest. He's a parish priest. He is not an inquisitor. He is not a man. Just looking at them, you can tell he is no warrior. But you do notice that he does carry. Hang on, I'm pulling up a stat block really fast. Actually, no, he doesn't even carry anything. He reaches and he grabs what looks like some kind of holy symbol and just begins to recant scripture. He's just reciting it here and there, and you can just feel the words of Denari beginning to kind of waft out. The light around here begins to, the fog, that kind of lighted fog begins to swirl as if it doesn't particularly care for the words coming out of his mouth. Who would you like to take initiative, Arkadiy?
Vincent, dear Vincent, knock this priest out.
I'm not much for physical, but I'll open my mouth and have my sorcerer sphere have wails echo into his head, so he's hearing the sounds of wailing sorcerers.
Okay. Give me that sorcery test, man. Each of those inquisitors, by the way, was worth 3 tokens, so 6 refresh tokens. So that's where we're at in the pool. Remember that we left the other scene, so anything that was left over was lost. We should be at 6, so you have 6 right now.
Is it okay if I take those so I can get some of my warfare back?
Yeah,
I mean, I guess. We handily took care of that.
We were hanging out over here, so we were sightseeing.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bet 1 point, so we got a 5 on the test.
Okay, that is a success. However, it is not a crit or anything like that. So if you want to roll your damage, if there's any points that you wanted to spend to from your investigative points to try to boost this damage as well, now's time to call it out.
I'm the enemy of the church. Would this help?
An enemy of the church?
My allegiance point.
Yeah, I'll take that. Absolutely. I would take
nice.
that. Yeah, that's how we're using him this chapter, since I have it's definitely a bottle chapter, so we'll use him that way. Absolutely, for sure.
Cool.
Your attack is filled not just with sadness, but with hatred.
For a total of 6.
Ooh. Okay.
1 on there.
You can see he's got this holy symbol. He's reciting the scripture. What does it look like as you essentially cast some sorcery at him? So what is it? How does it manifest? How do we see it, Vincent?
Yeah, my mouth opens and you see hands of a spirit translucent face come out of my mouth, and it starts wailing at him.
And he stumbles back. You can see as if it somehow hurt him, and he just kind of stumbles back for a second, like he's in a kung fu movie. But then he steadies himself, and you see he continues to chant, and going through this sight or this recitation. He's like, "I believe in the goddess. Goddess protect me. Believe in the goddess. Goddess protect me." and like this little sheen of golden light washes over him, as it's not enough to actually take him out, as he has what's called quiet faith, which is essentially grit, basically. So it's going to take down some of that. So it's not quite enough, but you can tell he was certainly hurt by it. Who would you like to go next, Vincent?
Solovita, if you will.
Father Mikhail, I think you are mistaken in what you are seeing. And Solovita is going to come just walking up to him, and she's going to essentially, should I do the dagger or should I do the tonic? She'll
he has nothing but hatred for all of you at this point. He has always been known as a relatively humble, kind man, but you see in his face horror and hatred. And Arkadiy, you very clearly heard there is like no amount of like there's no amount of convincing. You would have to do something a little bit more robust.
Going to reach into her sorcery. Her arms are going to turn stone, and she is going to punch through his little golden shield into his face if she can.
You absolutely can. Yes. Go right ahead.
This little golden shield. Look at the self-confidence here.
I feel like this is that. I feel like this is the moment in Revenge of the Sith, right? Right. This is it. Do it. You guys have turned. This is great.
Arkadiy is following his true nature.
Oh yeah, you're good. you made this. How'd you do? 4 is still a hit. 4 is still a hit. Yeah. Give me your damage. And again, if you have anything that you wanted to do ahead of time to buff this damage, like spend corruption or something like that.
Why
the hell not? You're murdering a priest of Dinar.
I'm trying to sit on it for an opportune moment. Because I do have a thing I want to do, but I think I'm just going to see if I can't punch through him for now and hope for a good roll. With 4 damage.
You definitely hurt him as you reach, you punch through. He just has a vice grip on this thing, and it doesn't fall from his hands. He would die before this falls out of his hands, but you do manage to get him right in the chin. You hear his chin crack. And so as he continues to recite these protective prayers,
can I use my burglary once per round? You can try to pick someone's pocket without taking an action to just twist that little symbol out of his hands, or
you can certainly try. The difficulty will be very high because this is literally a vice grip, but you absolutely can try.
I would like to try. I will. Yes. I'm just going to pump in on this. That is a 6.
Okay, that'll be enough. I will say, I actually set it at 6, so you're going to be able to. You punch him, he stumbles, he spits blood, and as he does so, like his hand loosens ever so slightly, and you rip it out of his hand, and you see that little sheen begin to sort of dissipate. But more than that, you see his confidence. You see he's afraid now more than anything else. He's still up though. You didn't actually do enough damage to kill him.
That's okay. I was mostly going after the symbol to see if I could do that. Fortuna, would you like to be a dear and deal with this man now?
I will certainly do my best. So she's been kind of fumbling for the token of the constricting serpent that she's got.
Okay.
Because if you use a maneuver that restrains someone physically or mentally, it's a +2. So looking through maneuvers, which I haven't done a ton of, you can use sheer terror to daze someone with sorcery, sway, or warfare. So I'm thinking that I'm trying to basically do morale damage to him.
Okay.
Kind of.
I'm going to say because Solovita ripped that away, I'm going to say his grit is gone. So he's wide open both ways in this case, both morale and health. He is a sitting duck. He very much is. Okay. Go ahead and roll your attack with your bonus from the token.
Okay.
Is this the second time you've used this or just the first?
It is the second.
Yeah,
I used
you're going to get one. I'll just warn you, you get one more use of that before it will eventually the magic of it will kind of drain. It'll recharge over time. It's just like there's a limit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm doing a sway, so I am going to spend 2 sway on this. So I'm going to do 2, and then I get a +2 for the thing, which we'll need to add on to the result of the roll. So that is an 8.
Okay, an 8, I guess, is against morale, correct? You said sway.
Yes.
Okay, that is a hit, but not a crit. He does have a 4 threshold. So that will be a hit, not a crit. But you can roll your damage. Actually, no, it's not damage. I apologize. You said you're doing a maneuver. So describe what it looks like as the serpents come out because of your totally demonic pendant. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm going to say that she is kind of looking to kind of terrify them. And so like he's already sort of prayerful and all of this demonic stuff. And so she's just leaning into sort of just trying to break his brain with like just all of this visions of serpents that are sort of like coming after him. And, you know, his defenses have been lowered a bit. And so this is just not anywhere that you want to be. This is not any of your business. And if you value your life, you will leave here. You will not. And so just
I don't think he's going to leave here. Melissa, you look around.
No.
Fortuna, I don't think he's going to leave here, especially since as these serpents fly out from this token and begin to wrap around him, and he has lost his holy item. He feels for a second, God is and he falls back as I'm going to take the option of he takes damage equal to the difficulty -2, which in this case would be 4 damage, which is enough to kill him, as the shock and the horror of this moment has caused essentially a heart attack and panic, and he falls to the ground dead.
Oh,
killed
my
all
gosh.
3 of them.
Arkadiy wipes his blade on the Inquisitor's cloak. He looks down at these 2 elite soldiers like, very proud of you, cousins. All of you gang up and managed to kill small, meager priest. Well done.
I was actually hoping to knock him out, but you know.
Well,
3 more refresh tokens, by the way, for Macaulay.
That was not his belief was too strong. You have a potion there, niece, that I believe could do a lot of work, but I do not believe that his brain would ever accept whatever we tried to implant there.
They were conspiring to destroy entire main wall and family as demon worshippers. Accurate assessment, but something we cannot tolerate.
Yeah, I understand.
We need to dig a large hole, put bodies in, cover it up.
Yeah, I think we got some swamp over there that should be pretty good for that.
And Fortuna is also just looking around because this is not a place in the manner that is normally there.
Right.
So she's also considering they may just disappear whenever the rest of this goes back to the way it's usually.
True, but if someone else wanders through and sees their dead bodies, we might find ourselves still in trouble.
Maybe. There's a lot of dead around. Speaking of which, do we want to try... Chauncey, do you want to like turn around and not look for a second?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. You go do that. So Arkadiy, Vincent, I was thinking maybe because the Borda statue there looks like it's waiting for an offering, we put dead body next to statue to see if it takes an offering.
Oh,
Well, it
God.
has heart in hand, correct? Does it already have an offering in its hand?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
so if you step over towards it, so again, there's these gnarled trees. One of them has a statue underneath it. Again, any of you would recognize it. That was in that central chamber in the undervaults like 10 so years ago. It looks very much like that. And when you get closer, you come up to it, you can see that the arm itself has some, it's hard to tell exactly what it is, but it certainly looks like a sliver, a very large sliver, a chunk of flesh. It's pink, it's wet, it's clearly a recent kill, it's clearly human. It's not a heart per se, but it's a big chunk of flesh, and it seems to seems to have, it's like dripping to the ground as well. So it's relatively recent, you would imagine.
We can make a bigger offering. Chauncey, keep turning around.
God damn it.
Perhaps let's clear this old flesh off and hang priest from hand. If he priest of Denali, must be great offering for Borda.
I would think so, yes.
Okay. Who here is making, who here is, okay, let me put it this way. Who wants to be considered as making this offering? Like can it be multiple people? It doesn't have to be just one person. Like who are we saying is making the offering?
Fortuna,
everyone?
maybe you should be doing this.
Fortuna.
Yes, Fortuna
No.
does have...
No.
Yeah, Fortuna has her
Jeremy.
dagger. So I imagine she's going to look at the outstretched hands, look at the body, and she's not wanting to break the statue, but just putting whole body on hand. So she is going to take
Dear cousin, hold on.
And
Arkadiy cuts his head off and hands her the head. Put head on hand.
oh, that was much more efficient. Thank you, cousin. And she puts the dagger back among her, and she is kind of takes it on either side, holding her head off to the side a bit. And
Fortuna, Arkadiy, and Solavita came down and fought. Chauncey, you never came down from that upper ledge. You still don't. Vincent, would you say you came down, or were you like throwing?
Yeah, I would be
spells
on the ground level nearby.
The four of you make a morale test then, as I am going to say that all of you are here, all of you are part of these kills, all of you are going to be part of this offering. So all of you make a morale test.
Yep.
It's okay to spend here, right? To increase.
It's absolutely okay if you want to spend. Yes.
I will spend 2.
Yeah, I'll spend 1.
Been rolling real bad, so I might spend 3. Bring
Oh,
myself down
gosh.
to 7. Yeah, no,
Maybe I'll spend 2.
Guys might have to take Chauncey out too. He's not getting part of this. You kidding? When everyone takes a piece and the one guy doesn't.
Not good.
I've seen gangster movies.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh no.
Oh, I just did it manually. I got a 5.
Oh.
Arkadiy got a 6.
6 for Arkadiy. Vincent, how'd you do?
Got a 3.
3. Solavita, you said a 5?
2 and got a 3.
Okay. Arkadiy, you pass. The rest of you fail. The difficulty was 6. All of you who fail, you have a manifestation, much like a corruption manifestation, except it is visible. So you get to describe how it is. So similar to the way like Solavita does her scales and such, but it would be something that would be visible to anybody who is interacting with you. Arkadiy, you also have one, except yours is hidden. So it's like it could be under like where you would normally wear a coat or a shirt or something like that. But you can all describe what that corruptive manifestation is, but it is essentially like you're internalizing corruption. I do have good news for all of you. You can all restore 1 investigation point, however.
Ooh.
Oh, sweet.
As you
Even
feel,
Jeremy?
not Chauncey.
No, that's not worth an investigative point. No.
I don't think an ability back.
You hear a voice, just like waft out. I think Solavita heard this voice before, actually, as she reached out once. You hear this garbly, wet, liquidy old woman speaking to you.
I did speak with her before, yes.
And she just says, yes. And all 4 of you hear it. Chauncey, you do not.
Give disembodied terrifying voice for the rest of priest's body.
Or the other 2 as well, maybe?
Sure.
Okay. Do you want to do that?
Well, I feel, and you can kind of see one of her eyes has gone, the pupil itself is slit like a snake or I believe a fox also has the slit pupil.
Nice.
I feel like I should probably, I'm not going to do very well on any sort of test if you were to quantify it like that, and would probably go up.
Such a
with Chauncey.
metagamer. Okay.
Oh,
Fortuna's sort of grabbing at her neck, and I imagine that she now has sort of this like line around her neck, sort of because Arkadiy cut the head off, and so she's just sort of feeling that kind of like line around her neck. If that is what we must do, then I suppose that is what we must do. And she's looking to Arkadiy and nodding.
Arkadiy's down there carving the hearts out of these 3 bodies.
Okay.
He's like, here you go, Fortuna. Stack hearts on him.
Fortuna, Arkadiy. What about you, Vincent? Are you part of this?
Nearby, I'd let them do the offerings. I'd probably just witness it.
Okay, so you're like Solovita at this point. You step away, and
But because I failed the morale, I say my little corruption thing would be a bit of albinoism, like maybe my eyebrow turns white.
okay,
Your eyebrow is white.
And
Okay.
Arkadiy's hidden one is this multi-headed this multi-headed fox serpent tattoo is winding through the tattoos on his arms, and it moves very slowly over time.
That's awesome. I love it. Okay, Arkadiy and Fortuna, both of you make another morale test as you make a second offering.
This is going to go great, guys.
Yeah, I've only got 4 morale left.
Arkadiy gets the big 8.
Okay, that's
Look at
passed.
you. I'm going to spend 2 again and hope that it goes better than it did last time. So it was a 6 last time?
Uh-huh.
Crap, I'll spend 3. I'm going to have 1 left. 6.
That is a
That
fail.
3 mattered.
Oh,
Oh, it didn't matter
difficulty
because the
goes up
difficulty went
with-
up. Yeah. Keep rolling
Your
back.
corruption becomes even more noticeable as you get another effect. Same thing for your Arkadiy, except yours again. It's stuff that's easily hidden, whereas Fortuna, yours are much more difficult to hide. And so whatever effect that you would like it to be is entirely up to you. Most likely, it's somehow related to the situation, or to Borda, or to some of your family, but it doesn't have to be. It's however you think it manifests.
Oh dear. Because I already did sort of the line with the...
I have an idea for you if you want.
Go for it.
I think, like Arkadiy, you should get like a snake tattoo that weaves around your new scar and it moves slightly.
Oh yeah, should do that. Wear a scarf. Okay. Cover that up.
Well, yeah, I was
Wear turtlenecks.
thinking Hetty from Ghost is sort of what I had in my head with like
Oh
the
yeah.
kind of high necked whatnot, which Fortuna has always dressed very much like that, even when she was much younger. So
Maybe would first just look like a scar from like being hung or being cut begins to unfold itself, and you see it's now not just some scar, but it is instead a marking, like this serpentine marking with scales and glittering that begins to unfold itself from underneath the outer layer of skin and starts to spread across your throat.
Ugh, yeah. The first thing could have just been like old lady wrinkles on neck, and no,
Not anymore.
there's no.
Your cousin Fortuna, I think perhaps that enough offering. You are beginning to look perhaps little unsettling.
And sadly, there is no benefit this time. It's just straight up.
Oh,
damn.
I'm sorry saying it. Hey,
The paper board is worth it.
I will tell you this though, like you hear her cackling in your ears. And not only that, you all, but especially Fortuna and Arkadiy, you feel an intense thirst become, like you can feel your mouths get parched. You get very, very thirsty.
Time to go to Hall of Truth, perhaps.
Yeah.
Deal with Alta Devira and or unwelcome companion, or perhaps welcome companion.
Cousin Chauncey, while you've been out there not looking at what we're doing, have you observed anything, seen anything look interesting?
No!
Just do the
How are we
Spaceballs.
fucking done here?
No, Chauncey, we must hide bodies quickly. Come help me.
No! You do it! You've done this horrid fucking mess! I am supportive to an extent. but I'm not taking any fucking part of this.
They were
I will
going
go
to
with you
hunt,
when we move on. I'm not coming down there.
dear cousin. They were going to hunt you down and kill you and kill your children. That was what they
I
were
hear you say
discussing.
that. You just fucking
Have
look
I-
at yourself.
I have
will
never
come
lied
with you
to
when
you.
we leave.
I am.
That's it.
I am cruel, horrible assassin, but not a liar.
I love you. I love you, and I will come with you when it's time to leave here. I am not coming down to that fucking place.
Cousin Chauncey. Cousin Chauncey.
No. I will come with you when we leave. Done. End of discussion. La 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 la.
So perhaps we
Fortuna
have broken cousin Chauncey.
comes over to Chauncey, kind
I,
of puts an arm on his hand on his arm. Cousin
I'm sorry.
Chauncey.
I love you. I love all of you very much. I really do.
Yes. We love you as well.
Just no. Okay. I'm very sorry,
Yes.
but no.
Yes, I understand that the
I really don't want to talk right now. That sounds ridiculous, I'm sure. I just don't want to talk right now. I want to stay quiet and leave.
what I need you to do is to turn that not wanting to talk energy into digging hole energy.
Not a
We
fucking chance. You dig
did-
your own hole. When it's time to leave, I'll leave with you. Dig your own fucking hole.
I don't think and
Arkadiy
she's
turns
leaning
to
on her
Solar
cane. I don't think I'll be.
Yeah,
I feel
I'll
bad
be
above
eating
board,
for
but
it.
I just cannot see Chauncey in any way like it is kind of breakdown.
Don't worry. I dig quick holes. Not a very shallow grave, but brush over it.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I need it.
Yes. We'll give you.
No.
We will give you a few moments, but we could use your heart and we could use your arm for the last few
No.
steps that come left.
No.
But I will leave you to
I
think on
am
this.
no.
Yes,
It's,
I will
it's
leave
okay.
you, leave you to your thoughts, Chauncey, and she just sort of pats you on the arm as soothingly as possible, and we'll give you a few moments.
All right. So, are you attempting to dispose of the bodies? Is that the idea?
Yeah,
Solo
or at
Vika
least
will
hide
help.
them so that
Okay.
they're not.
I have
readily
been told by
obvious.
Steven that it would take a long time to dig a hole.
Not a
It-
6-foot hole.
Okay.
shallow grave.
So there are
not
so
6 foot.
where the trees are, like the whole, this is like a courtyard in a way, like where the ground is like this sort of tile, but where the trees are coming up, you can see they've burst up through, and there's places where you could potentially obscure the bodies.
All Arkadiy does then is he chops the limbs off and just stuffs the limbs and the torsos in around the roots.
You feel like a bit of warmth come over Arkadiy as you just feed these limbs into the roots of the tree. There's like a little tremble even, both to the tree and to the very ground itself each time you're going to feed something into the earth. Definitely, whatever you're doing is being received with great enjoyment. But not
Arkadiy
by
thinks to
Chauncey.
himself, Arkadiy thinks to himself, I can't wait to tell Chauncey this story the next time we're having a beer.
He might take it better in a different setting, but
Chauncey. No, it's okay. Take this. This is a key I've had for maybe 15 years. I got it from my mother ages ago.
is it a piece of your mother? Is there a shin bone
No,
carved
and
into a key?
focus, look at this. And it is literally just like an old style iron key. It's quite large, in fact. This belongs to a mansion somewhere very far from here. And I don't know where it is, but it's the front door key. You can have it. And when we're out of here, you can go and take your family and try to find it. It is a mansion somewhere away from the city. I've held on to it for a long time. That's okay. You don't have to. But that is a piece of the outside world. distant land, somewhere far away, that you could relax and be at peace for a while.
He does
Okay.
double check to make sure it's not made out of bone.
Oh no, it's iron. It is literally just it is one of my iconic items. It is a key to a distant, decaying family mansion. I don't mention the family part to you.
Do you only have 4 iconic items now?
I only have 4 iconic items now.
Uh-oh. No
Does this
grit.
mean some? Oh.
Gonna have fun.
Oh.
Okay, so
Zero grit.
while Arkadiy is doing that, there are a handful of things you could look at. You do have you have gotten the important clues, obviously, between the offering and then the interaction you've had. But there's other things if anybody wanted to look at stuff. So there's like the fog itself is very peculiar. The pillars themselves had some symbols on them, things like that. But none of it's core. But since Arkadiy is busy doing this, if anyone else wanted to poke at something, you do have a few moments here before you try to move on.
The etchings for sure.
Okay. So on the pillars, there are symbols that you have forgotten. What's it called? Forgotten lore.
I do.
Very much, these are Denari in origin. So you can see things like swans, clusters of coins, these radiant sunbursts, stuff like that. You can see that they all have been cracked or burnt or broken in some ways. In a few cases, it looks like the pillars themselves broke almost where some of these symbols were engraved into the stone. With forgotten lore, no point's been necessary. You're pretty sure that these aren't just like decorative. Like your guess, because forgotten lore, remember, is the type of thing that can actually create a ward in combat. Like you can protect yourself. And you're pretty sure that that's what these were attempting to do. Some kind of like almost like not so much that, more like trying to consecrate or like a binding tool of some kind. Tools by priest inquisitors. They don't look recent. This looks like something that was done some other time, in the past. Like someone once tried to purify this place, but clearly the state of the area has suggested that they failed. But it certainly looks like someone tried at some point.
Interesting.
Anybody else? Was anybody else doing anything? Chauncey or Vincent or Solavita? I think the 3 of you aren't necessarily, time's not accounted for. So if there's anything the 3 of you wanted to do.
I was off in the distance, maybe like as I was trying to look away from them, looking into the mist, possibly. Or if I don't know.
Okay. Do you want to look into the mist? Like when you say the mist, do you mean the fog that pools around
the fog,
the ground?
so to speak, yeah.
Sure.
Because I think he was actively trying to avoid watching what was happening, which would in turn mean it makes sense that he was looking out into the fog.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Okay. So the fog kind of comes up to almost your waist, I would say. There's a light that comes through it. You're not even sure exactly where that light originates from, but you can definitely tell it's like illuminating the area. There's no heat, however, and even though it's moving, you don't feel wind. Like none of you have ever really felt wind out here. It's all ever since this whole thing happened. The idea of elements have never really come back into play. You can see, Chauncey, as you're watching the fog, it's moving in these like concentric patterns as if something's like moving around beneath it. And multiple times you see what looks like these small little snakes. Not gigantic like the one that almost ate your wife, but these small snakes that are no longer than the length of your hand to your forearm, maybe even half of that, wiggling around here and there. None of them seem to descend on you in some ways, but a few of them, you'll see they slither over top. And more than that, you notice that, well, actually, you don't have any sorcery skills, do you?
No.
Okay.
That's why I hate it so much.
Okay. So I'll just say that's what you see. You see these little baby snakes slithering about here and there.
Snake do.
Okay. Vincent or Solavita, was there anything that you all were doing while Fortuna and Arkadiy and Chauncey were doing these things? No
at a
is
moment,
okay.
I would, yeah, just the true names, if those mean really anything, just learn a couple of them.
Okay, yeah. If you want to spend some time, like, kind of touching on that, like, just kind of flipping through it, like, this is probably going to take. I mean, Arkadiy's great at this. He knows what he's doing. This is going to take not a whole lot of time, but I would say, you would be able to start concluding that as you speak a name, you hear a particular voice in your head suddenly highlight. It gets louder, as if that's the voice in your head and the name that you just spoke. That's who it is. And then you do it again for a different name, and then another one of those begins to pop up. And so you get this sense that all of those names that are all those voices that are swirling around in your head, and there's about a dozen of them that you can start to distinguish from each other. All of them correspond to one of the true names that are wrapped around each of these spirals. You're not fully possessed. That's not what this is. It's just not full possession. But you can definitely tell, like, somehow the spirits of these sorcerers are somehow, like, entrapped in some ways within the bindings of this book.
Nice.
Okay. And Solavita, was there anything you're
Sure, yeah. She would probably have gotten to an elevated position around Chauncey, since she knows he's not doing well. And then she's actually going to probably have borrowed the map from Fortuna and be using that and looking at the painting her mother made to see if she can figure out where the Hall of Thirst is, their next destination.
One of the names that isn't listed on the map is that hall, but you remember two things. First of all, remember what it looked like, and you remember seeing all of, like, pretty much all, like, all these recognizable faces of your family. But the second thing is that I think it was Fortuna who found it, is that it's through the gardens. Or actually, it's after the offerings. And you know that there's one offering site that you guys haven't gone to yet, and that is the gardens. You've been to the chapel, you've looked through it pretty well. You've gone through this site, and you haven't found any way to get in. You would think, you would probably conclude at that point the garden might be the way to go. And I would say, since you do have an elevated position, you can probably see them. They're hanging gardens. You can almost see, like, this tiered, almost like a ziggurat, like, that kind of grows, this very small one in the back of your estate, where there's all this vegetation, and it's not that far away, but it's in the estate.
Awesome. Then she'd also just make sure it's actually a straight line there.
Yeah, it's got that swirling thing, but you have a route. Like, if you wanted to make the spend, you all would be able to make the spend to get there.
Okay. I'm happy to make a spend personally, or we can wait and use the map spend.
It has to be the map. Your personal spend wouldn't do. It's got to be from the map. Okay. So if that's the case, if you are all ready to push forward, you leave the area. You feel, again, this sense of thirst is overwhelming you. You move about in the hedges. Arkadiy, your vigilance is so high that you hear the shuffling in the hedges themselves, and then moments later you see stumbling out from there. You see a familiar face. You see, I don't know how familiar it would be for Arkadiy, but it would be familiar to Fortuna and Chauncey for sure. You see Franco and Aloysius Corteza, who are cousins of the family that were invited here, and they were the ones that managed to give you shelter during the Saltbound assassination attempts. But you can see these two men. Franco is an older man. They're both stocky. They're both, like, stocky men. They almost have, like, square heads, like Lego men in a way, if you want to think of it in those terms. Franco has this bushy, curly mustache and hair. Aloysius, you can tell, has a different aesthetic. Everything's kind of slick backed, and then he has a very thin mustache, but they have almost the exact same frame. But it's father and son as they push through, and they see all of you, who are probably not looking great. Some of you probably have bloodstains and stuff on them, but they themselves also look a little harried. Cousins, good. We're so thankful to see you. Oh my goodness gracious.
Cousins, good to see you well.
Do you have... This is a bizarre question. Do you have anything to drink? Something, water or
we
wine?
We will.
cannot
Not,
seem
not
to
with
find
us, but we are going somewhere
Yeah,
where we can take care of that.
we are trying to find our way back to the dining hall, but we can't seem to find our way back. Every door takes us back outside. It's
Yes.
very...
You should stay with
terrifying.
us. Where our goal is something called the Hall of Thirst. Maybe you can quench yours when you come with us.
Oh, if you think it's best, what has happened to you? And he's like looking at you, and again, some of you've got blood stains, some of you've got torn clothes. If you've been attacked, are you okay? Can we help, cousins? Can we help?
No need. We have things that we need to be doing. But stay with us. Safety in numbers, right? Safety in numbers.
What is it that is what is it here that would be threatening us, cousins? This is your home, is it not? Why? What is befallen this place?
Jeff,
Yes.
how believable are ghosts in this world?
Super.
Oh, everyone knows about him. Oh yeah. It's
Oh,
common
okay. Well,
knowledge.
great. We have an excuse. Excellent.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jeremy, you were saying something.
No.
I interrupted.
You go ahead.
We found a few haunted areas of our mansion, unfortunately.
Haunted.
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, that is
Yeah.
by
They're really
whom?
strong.
Oh goodness gracious! And you see they make like the motion of Denari, which is like this circular motion here and there. Oh goodness! You must.
No fear. No fear. Put faith in Fortuna. She will deal with this problem.
Of course, I did. There was Father McCarley. I saw him before. We could get him. He could bless these rooms and help free the spirits to the
With
next
his
world.
Twisting as everything is, who even knows where he might have gotten to? But we should definitely keep you safe, and you should come in the direction that we are going.
Of course. Whatever you say, Fortune. For whatever you say. I'm so very thirsty. So very
I think
thirsty.
I have a bit of a bottle of wine I pilfered earlier.
Oh, Chauncey, that's so very kind. So very kind. And he kind of reaches his hands out for it.
I'll give it to him.
And he starts to drink it. And at first it looks like a normal person would drink, but then it gets increasingly like intense. And it's just kind of spilling out his sides and down his throat and down his chin and onto his... Yeah, I'm still thirsty. Why am I so thirsty? And he hands it over to you. Like this, no, this is not it. This is not good. This is not good. Something more, anything else. And you can see like he's getting a little deranged in the eyes. This is the older man talking, we'll say.
Cousin, mind over matter. This is
Yes,
not the first time in your life that you have felt like you needed a drink and you couldn't get one yet. Mind over matter. Patience.
Yes, of course.
Exercise patience.
Yes, I'm so very sorry. I have forgotten myself. I am so very sorry. This, no, I'm so sorry. Yes. We will come with you. Aloysius and I, we will come with you, if that is all right with you. Yes.
Yes. Follow behind. Let's make sure someone is behind you.
Of course. Mr. Vincent. Yes. And you guys push on. And eventually you find the base of this sort of ziggurat-like area. You can see these stone steps. They climb up through like this tiered arcade of trellises. And each of them you can see is essentially lost to vines, or just like every trellis just overwhelmed with vines and vegetation. There's like a hum in the air, but you can't quite see exactly where or what might be the source of it. The terraces are sprawling. They're kind of uneven in some cases, like crescents are forming over time, and you can see the garden beds are kind of ruptured here and there. They're flanking this central stair. There are these chip statues that their faces are mangled and reptilian, as you can very clearly see, but they're humanoid. And you can see at the very top, at a distance, there is this what looks like an archway that's kind of choked by ivy. It's kind of on an angle almost. It almost looks like the stairs lead right into like this 45-degree angle. And there's no one around, but then a moment later, you see stumbling out from behind one of these trellises. You see a woman that you would recognize, Fortuna. Her name is Fiorenza. This is, if you recall, you invited I think, did we call him a falafel salesman? What did we say? I think it was falafel. I can't remember.
At the very beginning of
Something like
last arc, when she was out kind of buying things and then got attacked.
So you see the wife, Fiorenza, and then Ercole, who is like her husband, as the two of them stumble out. And they've got like cuts on their arms as if like they've tried to push themselves through a rose bush. And they're like on the second tier as they come out from beneath, pushing through like these ivy-covered trellises, and they see you. Oh, Mr. Fortuna, you're so very happy to see you. That you are. We were worried about you. We have not seen you for quite some time.
Glad to see that you are well. We are making our way through here and finding anyone who seems to be lost.
We are not quite sure how we got here. We ventured off into the kitchens to try to find something to drink. But when we stepped through the doorway, it brought us outside.
Yes, this is what has been happening today. We are experiencing the same thing, but we believe we have found the path.
Of course. You have a most expensive estate. It's much larger than I remembered it to be when you first brought us here.
At the moment, it is. Yes, but we have other cousins who are with us, and she makes introductions to Aloysius if they had not previously met before.
Sure, and we'll say they exchange hellos. They mention something about, again, very thirsty. And these two, like they're working class. So like the things that they're wearing, like they're wearing their nice clothes, but like compared to some of the actual nobility in Giglio Hill, their clothes look fairly pedestrian. But they show up.
But we don't judge. They are family, so.
No.
And I feel like the thirst conversation re-sparks up the other thirst conversation, and Fortuna kind of just has to turn around again. Mind over matter. We will find our way there when it is time. Please.
What is everyone doing here?
So Arkadiy would be using vigilance to try to find the location of where the offering is supposed to be within the Hanging Gardens.
Okay. You find you look around here and there. You find this like stone niche that you think for a second might be it, but you realize it's just kind of covered in like an odd shadow from a fern. You start to move up the steps, peering down each tier. It's almost impossible to see how these two made it out. Is almost amazing unto itself. And then you notice that arch at the very top of the garden itself, when you get up there, you can see that there is like it almost looks like a mouth as you get there. And you can see these stone fangs kind of hanging down from the top. And off to the side, as if it's like built onto the frame of this door, you can see two hands, one on each side. And both of them have in them these huge chunks of flesh in them. The doorway itself is open, save for those fangs that are hanging down from the frame itself.
Arkadiy calls back to everyone. Cousins, dear family, I believe I have found the doorway through this offering. But it's odd with this mouth shape. Perhaps Solavita, Vincent, you can take a look, see if perhaps there's more going on here with your senses than I can detect.
Yes, I think we're happy to. Chauncey, why don't you keep our cousins company just to make sure that they are safe while you're over here? Yes? Okay, great.
That was exactly what I was going to volunteer to do, anyways.
Okay, great. I thought you might like that better
Yeah.
too. Vincent, shall we?
Okay, what are the two of you using, you think, to investigate this doorway?
Vincent, you want to do corruption, I suppose? And then I'll do forgotten lore, maybe?
Okay, we can do that.
All right. Forgotten lore. You can see that the seal of Orsyth Mainwallen has been embedded into the frame as well. And it appears that this was once more something that he has constructed, and that he has not just constructed in the physical sense, but has imbued it with some level of sorcery. Vincent, as you tap into your corruption, you can see that weaving through this seems to be some kind of sorcerous enchantment that, as you get closer, you realize, unlike that pedestal, doesn't seem to aggressively reach out to you. You are, what's it, between the grimoire that you've flipped through and between studying this, you would probably guess that this doorway is safe for you and for Solavita and several of the others here to venture through. But something about this and about the way it's designed, about what you've read, suggests that there's a certain kind of person that wouldn't be able to make it past this door. Maybe this is harkening back to some of your time in prison, where some of the places that you couldn't go were like warded off with magical seals and wards that would actually harm a person if they walked through it, despite the fact that there weren't bars or grates. There was some sort of magical protection. If you had to put a guess, probably non-Mainwallens trying to walk through here would suffer some horrific fate.
There's a bit of sorcery to this, but we should be fine.
Well, it's Orsyth again. Definitely his work. He's got his fingers everywhere in this mansion.
I'll go through first, just to make sure.
There's a stair on the other side. You step through, and you feel like a tingle to your skin, like your hair stands on edge for a second, but it's not an unpleasant feeling. And then you reach the other side, which has a staircase descending into darkness.
Hey, I'll go
All
tell
right.
Yeah, it looks good. You're great. I'll go tell Fortuna. Did you take the ledger with you, or did Fortuna take it?
She has it.
She has it? Okay.
I do?
Yes. Magically you
Shut
do. So Solavita will slink back and go and whisper in your ear. It seems like there's magic that keeps non-Mainwallens out. You might want to check to make sure everybody here is on that ledger just in case.
I don't need to check the ledger. I know that they are Mainwallens.
Is enough to risk their lives?
Oh, good point, niece. And so she at first is like, I brought them in, of course. No, you're probably right. And so then she'll get it out. Like, let me use your back, niece. This book is a little heavy to hold.
There you go.
And so she's flipping through the book and making sure that Aloysius and Fiorenza and all of these four are in fact in the book.
Okay. All of them are, but there is one new little wrinkle that you didn't see before. You're not sure if it just wasn't written there, but all of you looked at it very clearly. So it had to. And you went through the names and you recognize all these names, but you see a man by the name of Maurizio. Again, another one of your wonderful recruits. Well, he's dead now. There's a line drawn through his name.
Cousin Maurizio, there was no line by his name when we last checked this book. Which
Fortuna will Solovita will whisper in Fortuna's, there's fresh meat on the gates.
Oh dear. Perhaps.
And not only that, Fortuna, but he was actually a highly connected magistrate on the other side of the city. He was connected to the city watch. Like there were high hopes for him, bringing him into the family, that he could potentially offer up some certain kinds of cover, perhaps for some of your other business ventures, especially the ones that Chauncey and Arkadiy were weaving in and out here and there.
Fortuna kind of drops her voice a little bit. Everyone in the family is equally important. We all carry on the main Wallen family. This one, that is going to make things complicated.
A little better than the falafel baker.
We're going to have to kill that Altavira bitch for this. I had big plans for him.
You always sneak up behind me or give me a heart attack one of these days, Arkadiy.
Don't worry. If you drop from heart attack, I'm sure that Vincent can resuscitate you. But I will try next time to approach much more loudly.
And she sort of looks over at Chauncey, and he did follow us, and he is making small talk with the cousins, so she's pleased with that for the moment.
You hear like some almost like like one of those childish limerick games where each verse builds on the next to kind of give them something to stay focused on, and maybe himself too.
Yeah. A busy mind.
Okay.
So is there anything that we haven't looked in this area before we go walking down those steps?
There's definitely stuff you haven't looked at, but you do, like, in terms of progression, Vincent and Arkadiy and Solovita have kind of found that path forward. There's other things you can look at if you wanted to, but you feel pretty confident. Plus, that feeling of thirst is really started to overtake you as well. Like everyone, it's not to the point where you're incapable of functioning, but you all feel as though you're being pulled in some way.
Arkadiy will walk through the arch because he doesn't want to leave Vincent on the other side alone for too long.
Yeah, and
Fortuna, that tingle, but no problems.
Kind of was looking around a little bit, but then she looks back at the name that was newly crossed off since we were in the last place, and Arkadiy Haste, yes. And so she sort of looks over to Chauncey. I do believe we have found the next steps. In this direction, I do believe.
Well, I don't want to linger, so sure.
Great. You seem very stable right now.
I'm great.
Yes, I agree. You sound great and absolutely just like you're on beta blockers.
All right. Do all of you then go through the doorway?
Yes.
Yes, we do.
Okay. Each one of you go through, you feel a tingle. It doesn't feel particularly unpleasant, and it fades very quickly. The rest of those, your new cousins and your new recruits, Fortuna, they follow, and you can see a few of them jump, but otherwise seem unperturbed. Halfway down, Vincent, you nearly trip as it's black as night in here, and you pull out a lantern. If anyone's got something like that, you notice that there is a body on the ground. You can see the dead body of one of your poor servants appears to be on the ground. They look almost desiccated, as if like they were drained, and they have what looks like snake bites, like all over them in some ways. You descend even further and further until finally you see a light at the bottom, Vincent, and it's a significant descent. You would guess that you've gone down maybe 4 stories. It feels like. You don't see a door, you just see a light and a landing. And then when you look up ahead, you see a long hall stretching out before you. It's segmented with these concrete arches. The air smells of soured wine and copper. Along the walls on either side, you can see these tall alcoves, 9 per side. You can see each is housing what looks like a very ornate fountain, stained floors. You can see some of these fountains look like animals. Others are like human figures holding up like an open mouth or a raised vessel of some kind. At the far end, you see a shallow basin. It's positioned like an altar. 3 of you have seen this before. Fortuna, Solavita, Vincent. It looks identical, obviously less artistic, to the Hall of Thirst that your mother potentially painted. There is a shallow basin at the far end. It's positioned in the center, almost like an altar. And you can see to the side, there's what looks like a tasting table, which you might find at an event. And it's right next to that basin. There are all these goblets, these mismatched goblets, some gold, some silver, some pewter. And you can see on the other side, on the wall, there is this kind of metallic frieze or panel. In some of the alcoves, you see familiar faces. And again, most of these would be most familiar to Fortuna. Donata Mainwallen, Adelmo Mainwallen, Lavinia Mainwallen, Atavia Mainwallen. And you even see Pelletier, who you had left in his office. It seems the pull of family has taken them here. And you also see at the far end of the hall, there is a very familiar, but at this point, a little bit horrific to look at, Althavira, in a red gown, done up her hair, almost like the Bride of Frankenstein. You can see she has, coming out of her back, there's these snakes that are just resting their fox-like heads on her shoulders. She is swirling in her hand a goblet. And on either side of her, you see 2 familiar faces. Except both of these faces, when you look at them right now, they look like their jaws are hanging loose. Their skin looks as though it's peeling or falling off. They look like zombies. You see Fabrizio Bonaventure, husband to Juliana Bonaventure, and heir to the Bonaventure family. And Chauncey, you see your friend who taught you how to fence.
No.
Felipe Carnuccio, as both of them seem to have taken up positions in their undead states as her bodyguards. And that's where we're going to stop for tonight. And we will pick up on that with the finale of this arc next week.
Ooh.
That bitch has got to die.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You can try.
So thirsty. We do the
This is where
vote. We vote. We drink. We do
see.
this the
I think you
way.
have the votes.
She's not going to take
gotta
a
be
loss
unanimous, so-
elegantly.
Well, it's got to be unanimous. It's not going to be unanimous as long as one of the 2 of you is alive.
Yeah.
Unless Fortuna will bow out here. You know, want to protect your little friends here from death by saying, okay, it's cool. You got this. We'll see. We'll find out next week.
That's an option. That is an option.
An option.
Just saying.
Your whole
It's totally
character.
fine.
Cool.
I love that you guys went full. You guys went full dark Anakin. You went full like you guys took out the younglings tonight. This is crazy.
Oh
This
my
is great.
god.
It's one of those things
Awesome.
like,
Yeah,
I sat there thinking about Arkadiy, and I'm like, Arkadiy would totally see them as an existential threat to the family.
For
And
sure.
that would be it. It would be
Yeah.
remove the pieces from the game board.
And you're
It
not
worked.
wrong. They
was
would
good.
absolutely, like, if they got out of here alive without any memory or anything like memory alteration or anything, any kind of chicanery like that, they absolutely, like, this is like they were devout. And like, if they saw this
Yeah.
with their own eyes, there's no way that they would let this go.
Yeah.
Some of the nobles you might be able to buy off, but not them. You know, not them. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so next week will be the
Oh my
confrontation. We'll see if
Yeah.
Fortuna becomes the matriarch or if we just end our campaign here because I TPK
Yeah.
you guys. It's literally going to be one of those options.
One or the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has to be that. Isn't that
That is
crazy?
true.
That is a
That is
legitimate
true.
possibility. It's a little bit possible.
Oh my goodness.
All right, let's do a couple closing plugs and we're going out of here. Aaron, You got some stuff going on over at Garblag. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Earlier today, you could have catch Johnny Geist and the Ghost Train as we jumped into the necropolis of Nouveau Casablanca as we played some Otherscape. So come back next Thursday and check us out at Garblag Games YouTube channel at 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for some more Otherscape. And also, Richard is running some Star Trek 2nd Edition Lower Deck. So definitely keep an eye on that for the Garblag YouTube channel. We're going to be dropping another episode of that real soon.
Yeah, dude, that sounds really good, dude. Right? Sounds totally righteous, or I don't know. How'd you talk?
I'm here to tell you, with my following, drop some credits and join the Ghost Train.
Fantastic. All right. Let's see. What else we got? So let's talk about Huckleberry for a second. I got Huckleberry here. Our dear friend Steven has been making this game. It is a horror cinematic action Western. There's a lot of things there. I also have the shirt right here, right up there. So I'm not sure if he's in chat, but if he is, look at that, Steven. I'm repping multiple things. But you should check it out. You should come to the Discord. You can ask questions about it. You should go to huckleberryrpg.com. You should go to Drive-Thru RPG. You can get the quick draw edition. You can play through some with some actual adventures that we've already released. You can play it right now. It's a ton of fun. And there'll be a campaign, a crowdfunding campaign coming later this year where you can get like actual physical copies of things and stuff. So it'll be a lot of fun. In terms of streaming, tomorrow night, you can see Aaron. He is running us through some Dragonbane. He and I are going to switch seats. I'm going to go to the bottom row. He's going to come to the top row. And we're going to try to get the last piece of a demon killing weapon. We'll see if we can get that done.
And or try to find their Absu, who has gone missing. And
yeah.
Could be
I just assumed Absu first.
I assumed she was dead.
Yeah.
I thought Ash was just bringing another character. Well. Let's see what else we got. Saturday, we've got Call of Cthulhu. You can see myself, Long, and Melissa. We're playing through for Eternal Lies. So if you're a Gumshoe fan, you might know that from Trailer Cthulhu, but we're doing Call of Cthulhu. We're in Ethiopia right now and having a lot of fun. Monday, we're also playing some more Gumshoe as we're playing through Time Watch. You can see the top row up here. We just started that up this past week. It's a lot of fun. We fought a mammoth. It was weird. We made a sheriff go completely and incurably insane. So these are the things that happened in the first session.
Also did that.
Good times.
It happens. Tuesday we're off, but we will be back soon as Kipster's got a new game for us coming later on this month. But we're off this Tuesday, and then next Thursday we'll be back with more Swords of the Serpentine with the finale of this arc. But that's it. That's what we got. Let's go ahead and raid somebody. Insomnia Night RPG. They're playing through something. So they're weird and they're fun. So follow the raid. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see y'all later.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See ya.
Arrivederci.